Jehovah's Witnesses just released a brand new Caleb and Sophia video. I am so pumped for this. For those of you who might be new to my channel, you may know Caleb and Sophia from clips such as this one.
Carrie drew two mommies. She told me they're married to each other. My teacher says that all that matters is that people love each other and that they're happy.
Well, people have their own ideas about what is right and wrong. But what matters is how Jehovah feels. And you know what? People can change. So, what can you say to Carrie?
It's just straight propaganda put out by the parent organization that owns Jehovah's Witnesses, called the Watchtower Society. They put out some really harmful stuff. So let's give it a watch and see what message they want to disseminate to little kids this time. Let's get into it. Quick note before we continue. If you guys want to support me, a good way to do that is through Patreon. YouTube is very up and down sometimes, and it's hard to rely on it. You can click the card in the corner if you want to show your support for the work I do. Okay, let's get into the clip.
That the governing body will continue to do everything in our power to provide the needed relief aid to our dear brothers in these affected areas. We love you very much, and thank you for tuning in for this update.
I wish we could help. Me too.
Okay, if you listen closely, you can hear what they're saying on the TV. Jehovah's Witnesses have this thing called JW Broadcasting, which is basically a regularly scheduled TV show they do. It's not on regular cable TV, but they have it on apps on Roku's, Apple TVs, Amazon Fire Sticks, iPhones, and all kinds of other platforms. You can watch all the JW Broadcasting episodes from there. It's like an hour or two long, and it gives insight into the goings-on within the religion. All Jehovah's Witnesses are expected to watch it. So that's what Caleb and Sophia were sitting there listening to. I listened closer to what they actually said on the show. They said, "And the governing body will continue to do everything in our power to provide the needed relief aid to our dear brothers in these affected areas. We love you very much, and thank you for tuning in for this update." Then Caleb and Sophia say, "I wish there was some way we could help." Remember, this is a cartoon put out by Jehovah's Witnesses, and as such, everything in it is placed there with a very specific intent. That's the nature of propaganda. In a minute, we'll see them elaborate on what the relief aid is for. We'll get there. Let's continue and see what Caleb and Sophia do next.
Oh, I have an idea. Yes!
So Jehovah's Witnesses are communicating that they want kids to donate every penny they have. That's what this is all about. And it's a lesson for the parents too. See, this is what bothers me. Jehovah's Witnesses kind of cripple their members from the outset because they discourage college education. They don't outright ban it, but they heavily stigmatize it. You should be focusing in on spreading the good news to people, knocking on doors, proselytizing. They said this in one of their newest books, Pure Worship of Jehovah, but door knocking is the modern day version of animal sacrifice, which has all kinds of theological implications. If you don't knock on people's doors and proselytize enough, then you won't make it through Armageddon. Of course, there's nothing in the Bible to back that up, but it's their position anyways. And they've taught that Armageddon was right around the corner for like 100 years or so. So they don't want their people to bother with college. It's a waste of time in their eyes. Which is why, interestingly enough, a disproportionate number of Jehovah's Witnesses are window cleaners. It's like one of the most popular occupations among Jehovah's Witnesses because it doesn't require an education and it has a really small barrier to entry. You can just get some equipment and get to work. Anyways, back to the video. Let's continue.
What is it, sweetie?
Can I give this to our brothers affected by the hurricane?
Of course you can. We'll put it in the contribution box on Sunday.
My piggy bank was empty. I guess I can't help.
They know just telling kids to give every penny they have to them is going to be abrasive, because it is. And that is what they're doing here. They're telling kids to give their very last penny. So what do? They manufacture a problem that basically anybody can get on board with and offer that up as a reason why they should be giving their last penny. But I'm ignoring a glaring problem here. Aside from the fact that this video was put out long before hurricane season in the US even struck, and it didn't seem to be triggered by some kind of natural disaster, Jehovah's Witnesses are being a little disingenuous here. I've mentioned this before, but they don't help anybody except other Jehovah's Witnesses. Ever. When I was younger, I remember Hurricane Katrina hitting New Orleans. It was insane. Lots of damage, missing people, destroyed homes, all of it. And my congregation was organizing a thing where a bunch of us were going to Louisiana to help build houses. Sounds like 100% legit cause, right? Too legit to quit, if you will. Except it turns out we weren't going there to rebuild people's houses. We were going there to rebuild other Jehovah's Witnesses' houses. If they weren't Jehovah's Witnesses, then they didn't receive anything from us. They were on their own. The US grants tax exemption to nonprofits because they're supposed to provide a public good. They're supposed to be able to show that they help society in some way. Jehovah's Witnesses very specifically do not help society in any way. Intentionally. They withhold their help from anybody who isn't a Jehovah's Witness. They believe that their contribution to society is eternal life. And they set up a system of rewards and punishments to give people negative and positive feedback. If you aren't a part of the organization, they withhold any kind of assistance. And if you were once part of the religion and then left, they withhold love or attention of any sort, too. So don't let them trick you into thinking this is some kind of relief fund. Don't let them make you think they're a charity that's out to help society. They aren't. They're out to help themselves and nobody else.
There are many things you can do to help. First, you can save some money for next time. Second, you can think about them and pray for them. You know, Jesus felt the same way when he was here on earth. Do you remember what he said when he helped the leper?
I want to!
Yes, he did what he could to help others. Just like you. That makes us very proud of you.
And finally, they're trying to get kids to contribute more. Other ways in which you can help. Just listen to this clip right here.
First, you can save some money for next time. Second, you can think about them and pray for them.
I love the order they put those in. First, donate money. Second, pray for them. I understand the video is all about donating, but still, you'd think they'd prioritize praying over giving money. Seriously. I don't think that was intentional in any way. I just think it shows where their priorities lie. Anyways, honestly, Jehovah's Witnesses have been having real money problems lately. And that's a rich problem for Jehovah's Witnesses to have for a number of reasons. I was going through Twitter the other day and I completely forgot about this quote from Charles Taze Russell, the founder of Jehovah's Witnesses. Another ex-Jehovah's Witness activist, Jordan Johnson, tweeted about it. So let me read from this quote from the founder of the Bible Students, what later became Jehovah's Witnesses. The quote is from 1913, a few years before he died. He was asked, "How is it possible for the Bible Students to spend so much money and yet never ask for any?" And he said, "I remember very well that I solicited from one person and he very promptly handed me $2 and seemed pleased to give it. After receiving the $2, I felt ashamed. I said, 'You begged.' My answer was, 'You begged for the church. But you'd be ashamed to beg for yourself.' Yes, I would, but this was for the Lord. But if you would be ashamed to beg for yourself, should you not be more ashamed to beg for the Lord? Is the Lord poor?" I said, "No, and I will never beg or solicit again, nor have I from that time to now." Then he goes on to tell a story of how he was at a question and answer type event, and somebody handed him a piece of paper. He put it in his pocket, thinking it was a question, and when he got up on stage, he pulled that out to read it, and it was a check for $1,000, which, of course, is an insane amount of money in the early 1900s. Then he says, "This is the manner in which money has been supplied. Our thought has been that as long as the Lord wishes the work to go on, he can take care of supplying the funds. It is his business to attend to how much he sends. If the Lord ever withholds the supply, the work will go down in proportion." So there you go. The founder himself said that begging for money is wrong. It isn't how he wanted to go about it. Now we have things like this.
In doing the math, we found that the amount of money flowing out will be much greater than the amount of money that we have coming in at this time.
When most people see this dude talk for the first time, they can't get over the way he presents. It's a very unique and distinct style. I don't think this is how he normally talks when he's at home with his wife. I really think it's a presentation style, but either way, it gets your attention, doesn't it? He's a governing body member named Stephen Lett. Not a great dude. He's most famous for saying "young ones" in this clip right here.
I want to address the theme, young ones, you are loved by Jehovah and his organization. Young ones, you are loved by Jehovah and his organization. But now, when we say young ones, to whom are we referring?
This is basically a meme at this point. But I'm getting a little off track. Let's continue watching Jehovah's Witnesses beg for money after their founder basically said, the moment we have to start asking for money is the moment we've lost God's favor.
Let's read that text together. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 9. And after we read it, we want to consider what are your valuable things. And what does the verse mean by giving the first fruits? Let's read Proverbs chapter 3, verse 9. Honor Jehovah with your valuable things, with the first fruits of all your produce.
I've talked about this before, but they've been sued by a ton of people in recent years. As a result, they've had to take some drastic measures to stay alive. First, they instituted something called the Master Plan. They spend little to nothing on building Kingdom Halls, since all the labor is done by Jehovah's Witnesses who will be using the Kingdom Hall. It's free. Sometimes the land is gifted to them. Sometimes the supplies are paid for by the members of the congregation. Even if the Watchtower Society paid for all of it up front, the labor would still be covered. They'd come out having put way less money into it than it's worth. They've been doing it this way for years. So when they ran out of money and they had to pay off fines and legal fees, they started combining Kingdom Halls. If the Kingdom Hall can hold 150 people, they pull people from neighboring congregations until they have more than that assigned. Because they know, just like an airline, not everybody is going to show up. So they'll assign, say, 170 people. Then they'll add other congregations in, because they know one congregation will only be using the Kingdom Hall for like 3 or 4 days a week. So a single Kingdom Hall will be hosting 2 or 3 congregations sometimes, all de facto overbooked, quote unquote. Then they take all the extra Kingdom Halls that are now empty since the congregations are sharing one, and they'll sell them off. Sometimes they have the congregations build new Kingdom Halls for dirt cheap so they can sell off the ones they're currently using. That's how they're bringing in emergency money, basically. Lots of pissed off people. They're splitting up families in some cases. They even put out a whole video about how people should just listen to the elders and not make waves. If your family is going to North Congregation and you've been assigned to South, then shut your mouth and go to South. Rhyme most definitely not intended. They're getting desperate for money, and it's showing, which is a good thing. An organization that does as much harm as they do shouldn't exist in the first place. One step closer to seeing it fail. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. If you like the work I do and you want to see me continue to do it, don't forget to follow me on Patreon. YouTube is up and down with things. Sometimes they demonetize, sometimes they don't recommend my videos at all. So if you want to make sure I can continue to do what I do, then check me out there. You can click the card on the video to get there. Also, you can support me through Teespring. I have a bunch of cool shirts and stickers and whatnots, so give it a look. And finally, check me out on Facebook and on my podcast. I talk about all kinds of interesting stuff on my podcast, so give it a listen. All links are in the description as always. Okay, thanks for watching, guys.